Welcome to another Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. I'm Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo, and today I'm bringing you into version 2.1, which was released on the P.T.U 2 nights ago. Most of you should have gotten a invite already that have been part of the testing crew before, and I think this one might actually go to a little bit more people than normal. It's a stable client. It still has a very, 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 very bad frame rate when you get into the universe. But nonetheless, it's fun, and it seems to have a lot more, well, it seems to have many more things getting fleshed out. But this is the latest edition. It's the Aegis Dynamics Saber. And the Saber is I guess you could say it's a choice of medium fighters. You can go with the Hornet, which is really sturdy and can have up to 2 crew members and carries a lot of guns. It's really like, think about like the Thunderbolt. And the Saber, think of it being like a Mustang or a Spitfire or something in that category. All right, ME-109, Focke-Wulf. It's got firepower but maneuverability too. And since we're fighting in space and not in atmosphere, the wings and the tail really aren't that important. But it's got a swing wing, kind of like an F-14, which I could imagine carrying a bunch of torpedoes or missiles, but that's not what they have it doing here. It's a pretty aircraft. I like it. If it wasn't pretty, honestly, I wouldn't have it in my hangar, and I have it in line with 3 other Aegis Dynamics ships just to show you how they relate to each other. You can see the design elements in each one. The one ship that I own that's not in this hangar is the Vanguard, and that's because I purchased the most expensive one, and they don't give you a lower end one to put in your hangar, just so you can see what it looks like. So there are other videos out there on the Vanguard. So I'm trying to show you the different elements that are the same, like the tail, the wedge design. Over here, this is an older design from Aegis Dynamics. The Gladius is actually a very old fighter in their inventory, in the UE inventory that's being moved out. But you could still see the engine design is very similar in the back, the engine nozzles, to the Vanguard. And then, of course, if you go up to the Retaliator, which I have over here, again, something that's very reminiscent, very, very similar in design. So we have the Saber in the hangar now, and that's a pretty decent thing. But as you're looking around, look at the lighting. The Revel in York hangar has had a second pass on lighting. It will have a third pass before this patch goes live. So it actually looks a little bit more detailed from the lighting, and your ships look a little bit better in it. You don't have those weird shadows, though I did get a few times. There are those thrusters in the back, which I think might swing down to allow it to land. I'm not really sure. I don't know how anything articulates on this ship yet. No animations. I'm looking at the empennage section and in my head thinking, if they want this to fly in atmosphere, the empennage section is unusable. It needs to be just a little bit bigger. But we're talking about 1,000 years in the future. There's probably a lot of computer-controlled thrusters going on back here to enable it to handle yaw and pitch. Beautiful swing wing. Let's see if we can get inside of it, okay? So we'll move up to the front. Click on use the F key over here. I think that's quite an elaborate ladder for a system like this. It should just have like a little spike that comes down with little rods on either side. I love the way that the dashboard, I want to call it a dashboard, not a control panel, comes into play. You don't get the red tint from the inside of the ship. I'm sure that's so when you're flying close to a star you don't get blinded, or it's just for effect. Beautiful wedge design. The wings look a little bit out of place from this direction. I think they tried too hard to mimic the F-14. Oh, who am I kidding? I like the design, like I said. I'm sure you'll be able to move around your weapons. It looks like it almost looks like it has panthers on it, but I'm sure that they're badgers and not bulldogs. 4 Badgers are a force to be reckoned with, believe it or not. I'm not sure where the missiles are. They might be in a bay inside. This is a little bit more stealthy, a little bit more maneuverable than a Hornet. It's a brand new ship coming into the inventory. Kind of a replacement to the Gladius, but just a little bit more of a heavy fighter or a medium fighter. We haven't seen the heavy fighter yet. That's the F8F or the F8 Lightning. So I'm sold. I think it's a pretty ship, and I think it's going to do well. Yeah, very well. Okay, let's move on, okay? Now let's take a look upstairs and see what's going on inside the hangar itself and see if they've added any other tidbits to it. I'm sure there isn't, but I kind of pray that there's some interaction with the items inside your hangar from time to time. So I always go up into my office at least, since it's the smallest part of the Revel and York hangar, and they can just give you animations to sit on the couch. Nope, can't do it. Or to sit in your control area over here. Nope, can't do it. But nonetheless, what I'm really here to show you is how that lighting pass is starting to flesh out and how things are just starting to look prettier. Let's go into another piece of the pie over here, which is going to be another ship that was added into this version of Star Citizen's Persistent Universe, Baby P.U. Well, nothing persistent about it, but the alpha version of Star Citizen. All right, here we are running out in this very low frame rate, and oh yeah, there it is, the flyable Freelancer, which evidently is having issues graphically all over the place. A couple things were fixed by the end of the day, but this is the footage I shot earlier in the day, and it seems to be mating with the flight deck over here, the landing pad. I couldn't get the door open. I'm sure somewhere in known issues that was listed, and I just didn't read them this time out. Again, I'm sorry, working in retail, I really have very little time to read everything and then go and do a video about it. This pass on the Freelancer is utterly gorgeous. And I might have to piecemeal a couple of videos together to give you like what the Freelancer really is about. But as you walk through here, this is one of the issues oh, well, not so bad, right? Not so bad. So they compartmentalized the ship. So you have the airlock over here. So you can mate with other ships. And I really think the stairwell to get in and out of the ship should have been there, but I guess that's where the wing is, so that would not be that would not happen. That was the stairwell for getting in and out of the ship. Again, it didn't work. It just let me go right through it. Kind of weird. Forces me to go back to the rear end of the ship to get in through the ramp again. Let's do this. Get it closed. I close it all the time just so I can hear if someone's coming in. I've been in my Freelancer quite a bit, and I'd say 3 out of 4 times I get into it, somebody is fighting me to get into the pilot seat, which I find is okay. But when you're trying to shoot a video, it's annoying. But I don't have an issue with it. Again, you have your bathroom and your toilet, and no freaking towel rack. What the hell? All right. So here we are inside the ship. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. When you get out of the pilot seat, you're screwed. Again, there's bugs inside of the design, not the design, but the implementation of the Freelancer. You can get into the pilot seat, but the minute you get out, the only other seat you ever get back into is the, I guess you'd call it science officer, damage control officer, whoever sits behind the pilot. All right, so some people are going to complain about the view. I want everyone to remember this is a space truck. It's like an 18-wheeler. It's not a fighter. So it can fight. And it's not the Millennium Falcon with that big giant glass cockpit. Maybe we'll have a ship like that. Maybe that's what the MISC Starfarer is for. All right, and we're off. I think I was flying with mouse and keyboard here. And I'm just trying to get a gist of how this thing flies. It actually is pretty maneuverable. But I'm not going to be able to fire the weapons, because the minute you fire the weapons in here, you get some kind of a audio bug that just totally messes you up. So I'm going to try to piecemeal some video together here. Let's go take a look. Now let's take a look from the outside. It still has a pretty look. I think the front of it looks kind of like the alien from Aliens. It's a little skinnier than you think. And I kind of like the Fat Lancer. So the guns are gimbaled, so those of you that play with mouse and keyboard are going to love that. But they gimbal left and right. I don't believe they gimbal up and down. They may. I haven't observed it. Maybe I observed it just there and just didn't pick up on it. And they have had quite a number of changes, which we'll go over when we actually do a full review of the ship when it goes live. Until then, let's just go and jump into a second part of what they brought. Well, a third part of what they brought out. Maybe we're up to the fourth part now. See, ADD, the fourth part. Howdy, folks. It's Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo here again. This is going to be part 3, and it's just going to be... Whoa. P.I. wanted?
Thank you for getting in touch with me. My husband recently died aboard the Gundo Kovalek station, but the company is refusing to pay out his insurance claim because they say he was at fault. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
There is no way that's true. I know my husband. Darnell had his problems, but that is all in the past. I want you to go to the Kovalek station and send me evidence that my husband is innocent. But even if you find out that he isn't, you'll still get paid. I know your time is valuable and really, I just want to know the truth.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that this
I
was
attached
on
the
here.
insurance claim to get you started. Good luck.
All right,
And I
cool.
hope to hear from you soon, one way or another.
All right, let's take a ship that will be... Now, maybe that's the way it worked for some of you before, but I never got that piece of it when we were in 2.0, and I thought that was pretty cool, that you're sitting there, you take a mission, you get that voice message, you don't have to read it. I'm hoping they do most of their missions that way in this game. I know it's going to cost them money, and I know it's going to be a lot of work, but holy cow, that was pretty cool. Anyway, there's a lot of changes to the way your person moves, too. I guess they talked about it a little bit inside of the live stream. Well, I can tell you this. It really is horrible when you get inside. You bounce off of everything. Every piece of paper, every floating food pack, everything. And you just kind of like this rag doll floating in space. And it's much harder to control your avatar now inside the space station than it was before. But the exploration mission, or I guess what she's telling us, the gather evidence mission, if that's a look of things to come, I'm pretty excited about this game, and a lot of my reservations were put to rest a long time ago. This is actually starting to spark my excitement again, which is something I haven't really had for quite a while. Here you see the difficulty that I'm having in controlling my person. I honestly don't know why magnetic boots aren't activated. It's kind of ridiculous unless they're telling me that they're not using metal floors in here, which could make sense. But if the floors aren't metal, what did they make them out of? Ceramic? I mean, I don't know. And anyway, the exploration mission, much more fun, a lot more interesting, and it's fleshing out little by little. It's frequently a question I ask Ben on Ben's Day, which is, what do you do when the game goes live? How do you keep people interested? And these are little simple missions that a live team could put together in a weekend. And all they got to do is just leave little bits and pieces through something, right? Find a derelict ship that's floating inside of an asteroid field. So maybe they dump a Javelin or a Idris or something like that there, and you have to go investigate and find out what happened and what went wrong, or go and collect that Hornet that's just floating out there. That was my husband's Hornet, and I'd like to get it back because it was in the family for a long time. It's like an heirloom. I want to give it to my son or my daughter so they could go off and be a mercenary and get themselves killed. But these are all little bits and pieces of missions that could be put together rather simply. Here I'm finding another one of those, trying to get to another one of those, I guess you'd call it data pads, but just flying around in space in your spacesuit in this game has become a torturous event. Nonetheless, we have lots of updates in 2.1. I can guarantee you, based on the amount of time I've played, their optimization and correcting some of the errors that was happening in 2.0 with the crashes is not fixed fully, but definitely a world better. Also, see what I mean? I bounced off of it and went flying back. It's kind of a little bit harder in here. The ships, the Freelancer, when it's done, when it's fixed, when it doesn't have that sound loop and you can actually fire your weapons, it's going to be amazing. And, of course, the Saber. Oh my god, gorgeous. I can't wait to see that fly alongside of the Vanguard. Aegis Dynamics, I love their ships. You just saw a model box over there. That's pretty much what I've done in 2.1 so far. I'm sure there'll be many updates to 2.1 to make it stable before they push it live. I don't expect it to be live in a day, but I do expect it to be live within a couple of weeks. I know they'll probably try to push it out sooner. I hope they don't. I hope they just let everybody play with 2.0 and get this working, so when it does go live, it is something that's impressive for everybody. I think we could put to rest all the DS stuff. I think we could put to rest all the doubts that we've had. Some people are still haters, saying that the game is not going to be exactly what it was stated to be. I don't see that anymore. I don't see that it's not going to be what it's stated to be. I see that Chris's vision is coming together. It's taking longer than we expected, but nonetheless, it's coming together, and in the end, we are going to definitely have the best damn space simulation ever, or simulator. With that said, folks, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to be online tonight with the Enablers at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, and we meet in Mumble. If you want to know how to join the Enablers, go out to the organization site that we have. And if you're a subscriber, go out to the subscriber den, look for the I'm About to Be Addicted thread for Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. You could find out about us there too, and find out how to get in touch with us to meet with us in Mumble tonight. And with that said, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.